Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion of the World show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. Appreciate you all tuning in. It is Wednesday, which means it is Power Rankings Day, but it's also a day that we're going to get to know the new head coach of the Green Bay Blizzard. That's right, head coach Corey Roberson is going to make his debut on the show this evening. He'll be coming up towards the bottom of the hour. Connor Ferguson will be on in a few to discuss the latest Power Rankings because it is Power Rankings Day, and I feel like it's important to say Power Rankings like that. That way you get the full emphasis of just how important today is on the Fan Show. Power Rankings. Say it with me from the gut. Power Rankings. So we're going to do that. I got the IFL ones finished. I was working on the NAL ones because I'm still kind of new to it. So, I mean, I have my own criteria and everything that I'll still go by, but I know that looks can be deceiving, especially when we're only 3 weeks into the regular season, and at most, teams only have 2 games, or at minimum, teams only have 2 games under their belt. But we'll get them out there, and we'll discuss them. Now, Connor is very familiar with the IFL, so don't feel it's fair to discuss the NAL ones with him, but maybe he's got an opinion. There was quite the shakeup. There's this last week, really, I think, could have been one of those weeks. Fluke week, right? Could be a week of things to come in the National Arena League. Last night's episode was fantastic. If you missed it, shame on you. Greg Munson, co-creator, founder, just all-around badass of BattleBots, was on the show. His second time on the show. Some of you didn't know that he had been on the show before. The first time that I covered BattleBots for Season 2 on ABC, Greg was one of the interviews that I did. I started out interviewing all the different competitors. There was Zoe from Chomp. I had Will from Hypershock on. It was a great time. Got to know the builders and give them a little spotlight that they're probably not very used to when their day jobs are engineers and computer techs and whatever else. But anyway, we had Greg on, and then Farouk. That's right, Farouk. The Farouk is on fire. He is the man. He kind of brings it all together production-wise. So last night, talked to Greg Munson. Got excited for Season 3. If you're not already excited for it, it is May 11th. Airs on the Discovery Channel. Also had Tyler Knight, Superman, from Sioux Falls, talking about his new business venture, his new endeavor, where he is running some football camps for kids, giving back to the community, as he put it, and that was great. I love when people give back. I try to give back with the show as far as, it's called the Fan Show, so I try to get fans on as often as possible. I also try to give to the fans as far as giving them the interviews that I believe they want to hear, and it looks like you guys wanted to hear what Greg had to say. That was a fantastic interview. Very good response and feedback from that one so far. My apologies if you didn't see my post on any of my social media platforms for the Fan Show. I don't know how you're listening, for one, but two, I apologize because somehow in trying to submit my stuff for Spotify from Spreaker, I created a share loop where every hour on the hour for like 12 hours, my show was reposting the same episode. Not that it was a bad episode, because it was the Greg episode, on all of my social media platforms and through all of the podcast stations. I still got to go and clean up iHeartRadios, but it's just, I don't like issues like that, because in all honesty, in my mind, that kind of stuff I shouldn't have to worry about. But it happens. It's the world. It's technology. Reached out to Spreaker. Hey, what's going on? Oh, you created a share loop because you're sharing Spreaker to SoundCloud and now SoundCloud to Spreaker. And I was like, how do I get it to stop? Make it stop. So we're working on it. I went and cleaned up a lot of the episodes because this can take up, memory space on your different platforms. Luckily, I have unlimited on SoundCloud, thank God, and that would have taken up a lot. And I don't want older episodes to get deleted because the same one keeps reposting. We'll figure it out, though. I've got tonight to get it resolved if it hasn't resolved itself already. So I'm sorry if you are subscribed to either iTunes, SoundCloud, or iHeartRadio, or maybe all three, and it was blowing up every hour with the same episode. Please don't unsubscribe. Just let me sort it out. Just know that it's an issue that we're well aware of here in the Fan Show. And if you're not subscribed, don't make this an opportunity to be gun-shy or an excuse to not subscribe. Subscribe, because that way you're always in the know, and I don't have to... I mean, I'm still going to share to social media, but you won't feel like you missed anything if I'm not showing up in your feed, because you'll get the little reminder, the little notification that you have a new podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, or iHeartRadio. So with that, let's go ahead and go to the headlines. And the headlines are that the draft starts tomorrow. That's right. The NFL's best prospects are going to be on the greatest stage for their potential future, and it all happens tomorrow. Brown's number 4 pick sparking a lot of conversation, quote unquote. Des Bryant turned down multi-year offer by the Ravens. That's because he wants to go to the Giants, Redskins, or Eagles. Draft buzz. The Jets are shifting from Mayfield to Rosen? I don't care. Carroll fires back after Sherman Bennett criticism. That ought to be a good read. I'll have to read that later. Josh Allen. I'd love to be part of greatest QB class. I don't know. I don't think this is the greatest QB class because Sam Darnold is in it. Oh, the shade. Yes. Look, I don't know what it is about Sam Darnold other than the fact that he's been shoved so far down everyone's throat by ESPN, who already has a fair amount of Sam Darnold down their own respective throat, that we're just like conditioned to be like, this kid's going to be great. And then when he's not, then we're going to be like, but you said, and we've really got to stop listening to people because, okay, Sam Darnold, his individual stats, okay, that's fine. That's great and all, but Pac-12, okay, his mechanics, how he looks, okay. I will take those from the people that have played the position and believe that he has the qualities to be a successful quarterback. But if you're touting him out there just because he's a California product at USC, no. Stop right there, okay? Because rule doesn't apply. We had Matt Barkley was supposed to be like the next QB, and he's a backup somewhere. Okay, like he is never. I think the only time he started was in place of the other starter, Mark Sanchez, whose greatest hits include his own offensive lineman, and then of course a deep run into the playoffs with the Jets, the Darrelle Revis season that he was holding out, and the time that the Jets were on Hard Knocks. But other than that, again, a backup, and I don't understand it. You have Sam Darnold now, who every quarterback, with the exception of a few that plays college ball, more than half, 90%, don't take snaps under center. Everybody was freaking out about Jared Goff because the Rams went and picked him up and they wanted him to start right away. He hadn't taken a single snap under center. Now, he's been great, right? He's a Cal product. Aaron Rodgers, another California product. So I get the appeal of the West Coast quarterback, airing it out. But in all honesty, like, we won't know until these guys start taking snaps at the pro level. And some of them will be labeled busts right away. And it's because we didn't give them the proper opportunity to transition from the college level to the professional level because there's no developmental league. Because for whatever reason, the NFL and the rest of the world out there believe that you don't need to have a developmental league to make that transition from college to pro. Yet there's such a huge difference between the two. The rules, the way they play. It's different in Canadian football. It's different in indoor football. So you can't use this excuse that indoor football can't be a developmental league because the games are different. College football is different from pro. Okay? And there needs to be a league that takes these guys from their college level and gets them conditioned for the pros. on levels more than just the field of play. You need to get them conditioned to, like, managing your money. You're giving kids, right? Because, only some of them are barely over the age of like 21. I think most of them are like 23, maybe 24. Let's see. So college, you go in 18, 19, 20. Yeah, barely over 21 if they went all 4 years. 20 if they decided to declare for the draft early. So I was even being generous with that 23, 24 estimate. So you're giving kids who all they know is college stardom a check for thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, that turns out well more often than not. So they need a transition from college to pro on so many levels, and we don't do that, and so many of them fail. Ryan Leaf, what was his name, and Jamarcus Russell, and Barkley, and I believe that it's not talent alone or lack thereof. I think it was not being given the proper opportunity. So that's my thing. That's why I'm very anti-draft. Like, we're going to talk about it, but it's so hard for me to get excited about it because here are these kids being showcased. They've been weighed. They've been measured. Now they're going to be selected. I mean, it sounds like slavery almost. And then they're going to go out there and try their best. And if they don't work, then the team is going to replace them with the next youngest that they believe to be their guy. So it's just hard to watch sometimes because I love the stories like Kurt Warner, who went undrafted and found his stride in another league and then got a chance, then got another chance. So he got the chance to be in the NFL, and then when Trent Green, his starting quarterback, got hurt, he got the opportunity to start, and he made the most of it. A lot of these kids are just given all the, like, just go. Like, it's not like they earned opportunity. It's that it's expected of them to be great. And that's just me. So that's the headlines. Draft starts tomorrow. It's Power Rankings Day. BattleBots was last night with Greg Munson. May 11th. Discovery Channel. Tune in. And that will really about do it here. Let me see if there's anything new. Oh, the IFL Players of the Week were announced. Lorenzo Brown, quarterback of the Sioux Falls Storm, was your Week 9 Offensive Player of the Week. And then Lindsey from the Arizona Rattlers was the Defensive Player of the Week. And BJ Hill was your Special Teams Player of the Week. And deservedly so. Let's see here. Transactions page. That's what I want. Transactions. Show me those transactions. So, nothing too crazy on the old transactions page. There's one thing that happened yesterday and another, the 3 for the Barnstormers the day before, but nothing crazy. So we'll go ahead and bring Connor on. Don't go anywhere. We've got more of the Fan Show coming up right after this. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazzisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lenny, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Connor Ferguson is here to discuss this week's power rankings, which I don't know if you saw, but I mean, so many changes happened this last week, and by so many, I mean none at all. I do the whole drum roll thing. I do the whole drum roll thing and count down 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but there's really just no need for that today because they stayed put. We had 2 games, 4 teams saw action, and the outcomes were probably exactly how we thought. Like, I don't know if you can get more predictable in the Indoor Football League than you did this last weekend, but Arizona stays at the number 1 spot with a record of 6-1. The Storm 5-2. Their only 2 losses being to Arizona. Number 3 is the Iowa Barnstormers 4-2. Their 2 losses, 1 to the Storm, 1 to the Danger, but they are the Rattlers' only loss. And then the Nebraska Danger, they have losses to all 3 of the top 3 teams. So as we mentioned before, it is a 4-team race as of right now and probably for the rest of the season. Green Bay, I figured they were going to be rusty. They looked pretty rusty out there for having like 3 weeks off. And ironically, the Titans were the other team seeing action, and they looked pretty rusty too.
Yeah, it wasn't the prettiest weekend. You go into those games, and I know I think we had this conversation the last time Green Bay played Sioux Falls, or I know they didn't play this weekend, but I think that was the matchup the last time, and I said if Green Bay wins that, I'll just stop ever betting on sports again in my life.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
You go for it. Yeah, it was very, very predictable weekend, and rankings stayed the same. And I don't know. Are there still people mad? I'm sure there's someone out there that didn't like them.
So I did a thing this week where because nothing changed, I said, why should I even share these to the different pages? So I haven't gotten any feedback, probably because people haven't seen them, that haven't scrolled by the show's page like I know you do. So, I mean, I could. It would be really hilarious to me if there were some people upset about how they are, considering that there's no change whatsoever from last week and that there were only 4 teams that played, and it was the 2 top teams against the 2 bottom teams. Like, someone will find a way and a reason and to justify why they're upset with the way that the rankings are, which is why I get nervous when I get ready to post my NAL ones, because I'm sort of the newbie to that league, but it's a brand new freaking league, but still, it's just like there's some very passionate fans out there.
Well, with that league, you can't. Everyone's a newbie with 3 expansion. If half the league is expansion teams who haven't played together, it's completely down. And then everything about that league is everyone really gets worked up. If that, I see a lot more NAL fans and mentions in places and what happened this weekend. And I listened to a podcast the other day that was just bad. I'm not going to name who it is. That's not what I'm on here for. But it's like, oh man. And your show compared to any of the NAL ones that there are, because there's 2 or 3 really small ones that are supposed to be weekly, and it's like week 4 or 5 of that season, they're on their 2nd episode. But your show definitely takes a cake.
Look, the thing about the show is that, one, it's my baby, and I know that my website is lacking, and that's so beyond my realm of, like, if I was a computer whiz and it took me like an hour to do everything that I wanted, I would take that hour and do it. And I'm sure I could get there if I put enough time and energy into it. But between school, a day job, and making sure that the show is the best that it can be, I feel like that's the one area that can be kind of lax, because I've got social media covered, and I mean, the website is just there to be a home base for everything, where if people want to put in thefanshow.com and find out how they can follow on the social media, if they want to listen live, or where the links are to the podcast, or check out some photos or some articles. But the whole thing about the show is, and I have this conversation a lot with people that are looking to try something new, and that is you just got to follow through. I mean, it's like 90% follow through, 10% idea, and it goes for really any profession, any hobby really out there, where if you're going to say that you're going to do something, you need to do it. And that's why I've always liked working with you, because you've never not followed through on something, and it's always been very, very good peace of mind on my end to know that if you say you're going to do something, you do it, and I can count on you for that. And that's really the only thing that separates me and my show from others in their shows is just, they say it's going to be weekly, and then all of a sudden they miss a day, and it's a day late, or they get too caught up, too busy one week, and it's a snowball, but you got to follow through.
Yeah, we'll get the that website looking good when NFL season rolls around here.
Oh, I can't wait. We got the draft tomorrow. You excited?
I found out it was tomorrow, like, yesterday. And so I've been so caught up with NHL, NBA, just watching, like, I'm doing NASCAR now for Last Word on Sports. I picked that back up. And between that and school and stuff, it's just, like, flown by my mind. It doesn't help because I do, like, mute out draft analysis. It's like I sit here in March, and my first reaction is give me 2 hours of analysis on UMBC's win over Virginia. I will never get tired of talking about that. I don't want to hear about how Sam Darnold is better than Josh Rosen. I don't care.
You and I need to live closer together so that we can have anti-draft parties with each other.
Oh, absolutely. Mel Kiper, like, your job is surrounded around 3 days of the year, most of which you get wrong, but no one calls it because it's like, oh, well, no one saw that coming. And it's impossible to see it coming. There's been great quarterbacks in college that just flutter in the NFL and just go to the dumpster fire that everyone said they were going to be good. And really, none of the analysts really know anything. They just take guesses. They take very educated guesses, and there's no one's ranking the draft analysts every year, right?
Yeah. And,
so you don't really know which one's the best. And if I sat there and read all 60 mock drafts I've seen on my Twitter, I don't know what I'd be doing with my life.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of people overlook is just the fact that, these guys get paid the big salary to be more right than wrong. And I think we would have a lot more forgiveness for analysts if they gave themselves like a little bit of an out. Like, now, in my opinion, from looking at this, and this, I think that this guy's a solid player at this position. But it's when they come out on their high horse and be like, this is going to happen, and this guy is going to be this, in such absolute that they don't leave them any room for failure. And then when they get it wrong and they fail, it's just like they have some kind of excuse, and it's just like, no, like you said this and that didn't happen, so you need to just stop talking now. But it's so funny to me.
And the sad thing is, like, you got to throw a bold prediction out there to, like, almost get listeners and get people to read your stuff, and it's like, oh man, just put lawyer ahead and play it safe.
Yeah, and I think for the draft, look, I went to college, a 4-year university. Now, I didn't finish, and that's because, like, midway through, I realized that, I had a lot of friends that were very mechanically inclined. A lot of guys that went and got jobs while they were in high school at, like, Jiffy Lube or a tire center or something like that, and they were going to the skills center 3 days a week in high school, and they went and they learned a craft, they learned a trade, and they worked their way up. And by the time that I was, getting into, like, my second retail job, they were, like, day managers or night shift managers at, like, a local, tire place or an oil change place, learning business. And I think that a lot of people look at NFL and college like the college football is supposed to prepare you for the NFL. College as a whole doesn't prepare you for the real world, because if you don't have experience outside of your own little safe zone and bubble, like, you're screwed. And I learned that the hard way, which is why I don't regret going to college for those first 2 years. But I think if I could go back and maybe do it differently, I would have, because now I'm back in school going for my bachelor's in a program that I know I will love and can't wait to finish at the, Full Sail University. But everything happens for a reason. I just think that the NFL puts so much emphasis on guys that are just turning 21, and you're going to throw all this money at them, and you're going to have all these expectations of them. It's just, I couldn't imagine what that feels like every day of your life.
Absolutely. It's like I'm finishing on my second year of college next week. So I can imagine just going out in the real world right after this. I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know. But how do you like college? Like, how do you like the environment? You're in a frat, you do the journalism thing there. I mean, you're having a better college experience than I did, which is probably why you'll go the distance of the full 4 years.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just having the freedom to make my own schedule, and I still play hockey twice a week and make sure I do the things I like to do in high school. So Iowa State's close enough to my home, like 40 minutes, so that I can still go back and do that, but still be distant enough and on my own, and kind of realize like, oh yeah, I definitely couldn't live by myself right now. That'd be terrible. So.
All right, well, last thing here on Power Rankings Day, since there wasn't a whole lot to talk about, let's go ahead because I won't do previews tomorrow. Tomorrow is a pre-recorded episode because I have Infinity War tickets, so that'll be fun. So it'll be the Mick Foley interview. We'll do some wrestling talk tomorrow. So that's being recorded tonight. Already did the Mick Foley interview, so that just needs to be uploaded onto the episode for tomorrow night. But let's go ahead and do our predictions then for Week 10 in the IFL. Much better matchups this week. An opportunity for some to maybe shift these rankings, because that's what we like to see, is a good mix and some mixing and moving. We've got on the 27th, which is let's see, tomorrow's the 26th, so that's Friday. That'll be Sioux Falls in Nebraska. Should be a good game. And then Saturday, we've got a doubleheader. The Cedar Rapids Titans in Arizona, and then Green Bay against Iowa. Sioux Falls and the Danger, they really seem like it could go either way each time, but then the Storm are the Storm. But I still don't know what to make of this Danger team. So what do you think about this matchup?
Well, I think you said Nebraska's pretty lax with their home field and fans over there, and that was interesting to hear. And I've never been to a game in Nebraska. That's definitely on the bucket list. But if the fans, I'd probably say Nebraska would beat Sioux Falls if they had a strong home field advantage around them. But from what you said, in the past they don't, and Lorenzo Brown's coming off his Player of the Week performance. I think Sioux Falls is going to take that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win that Sioux Falls needs, just because if their losses are going to be going to continue to come at the hands of Arizona, they're going to be hoping that Arizona takes another loss or two, and that puts them in position to host the United Bowl should it come down to those two teams. But Iowa is kind of the thorn in everyone's side right now, especially Arizona. But Nebraska, you never know what you're going to get week to week. It is in Nebraska. I'd like to see them play it really close, play a really good game. Cedar Rapids, I don't know what to make of this squad, because it seems like at this point in the season, even with one win, that you would be, hanging tough with these other teams who respectively are probably getting just as good, as the season goes on. But Arizona, man, the time to pounce, I feel, has come and gone, where we've been seeing more and more of their players on offense be players of the week, which at the very beginning of the season, their offense was the point of concern. So, I mean, is there any stopping Arizona at this point, short of like a freak injury?
There is. Iowa. That's I try to say that as nonchalantly as possible, but Iowa's the only team that has been able to knock off Arizona, and they're 2-0 against them in 2 attempts. Not franchise, IFL history, at least. And I've already started writing my preview for next week for Sioux Falls, because I know it's finals week, and I'm spending more time on that one than I am on the Green Bay one for this week. But Iowa can't beat Sioux Falls for some reason, and Arizona can't beat Iowa right now. And one of those dominoes, by the end of the year, I would hope and think one of those dominoes is going to fall, and we're going to have a really interesting season.
Yeah, Arizona.
So we'll see what happens with that. But the fact that I'm more focused on, if Iowa can't beat Sioux Falls, then there's no way. Like, you've played them 10 times and you can't find a way to beat them. how do you expect to beat them in the playoffs when you inevitably play them in the 2-3 game?
Yeah, exactly. And, Arizona and Iowa and Sioux Falls and Iowa are going to meet 2 more times before the end of the regular season. They've got a big week in June where they host Arizona June 2nd, and then they travel to Sioux Falls June 8th. I mean, that will probably be what determines who will most likely host the United Bowl is that those 2 games right there. I'm going to call it right now. So it's exciting football later. We've got exciting football now. But Connor, thank you for your time as always. Enjoy hockey and everything else. We'll have an anti-draft party sometime. It'll be great.
For sure. Sign me up. Have a good one.
You too. All right. Connor Ferguson, folks. Take care. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break and bring on my second guest of the evening, Coach Corey Roberson of the Green Bay Blizzard. Don't go anywhere. We've got more of the Fan Show right after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw that Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns. 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten. You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? Just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how's there a puddle right outside the house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ciccarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellect, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Making his debut on the Fan Show is the newly crowned head coach of the Green Bay Blizzard, Corey Roberson. Welcome, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Rich?
Doing good, man. I feel like we have officially met at some point, either in Green Bay or Nebraska. But here you are as the new head coach. How's everything been for you?
It's been a roller coaster, but hey, we here. ready to turn the program around and looking for brighter and better days.
Yeah, and I think everyone's opinion of the Blizzard this season is the same, that you guys have been so close and you've been right there. You got all the talent in the world, barring a couple of injuries that have happened, like with Sean Daniels. But, otherwise it's been you guys right there on the cusp of it. So, you never want to see a coach go down because he wasn't winning enough games, and I love Coach Williams. I think he's a great guy, but, these things can happen. They do happen. So, I don't know if any of the coaches under them have the idea that maybe if there's a head coaching change that they might be the guy to take over. Like, did you ever have that inkling, like if they needed you to step in, that you could be, or did you get the news and were completely surprised?
I got the news, and it's a business. It's a business, and at the end of the day, that's the nature of the beast. They always say coaches are hired to be fired. So Coach Williams is a mentor of mine. He's been great throughout this process with me. He's been helping me along the way. And I have a lot of love and respect for him for continuing to mentor me throughout this process.
Yeah, and I think that you guys have a great program up there in Green Bay. Now, is this your first head coaching gig?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Yes, it is.
And how's it been for you, like as far as just your day-to-day duties and handling everything on a week-to-week basis?
Everyone has been great, letting me know the things that I need to do as far as logistics and day-to-day operations. I already had a little bit of idea of what I should be doing. Ownership has been fantastic. Our front office has been great. The IFL has been great as well as far as helping me manage through the transition.
Now, I do love when an organization promotes from within. I think it's great to bring up somebody that already knows the organization, and for sports, obviously the team, the players, and everything. But obviously, given the circumstances, Coach Williams wasn't winning for this reason or that, and so they want to make a change and bring in a guy that they believe that they can. Now, is there anything noticeably different about the way you coach from what Coach Williams had implemented that we're going to see become Blizzard football?
Everyone has their own coaching style.
Yeah.
Coach Williams laid the foundation in Green Bay. Something that Green Bay has been looking for and needing since Coach Fuller was here in 2012. So coaching under two guys of that caliber, as well as Tommy Williams, I was able to learn a lot from all three. Whether a majority of all the good things, and now it's my turn to implement some things into my style. But taking some of the things that they've inherited over the course of those years.
Yeah, and we've got a good matchup with you guys and Iowa. Another road game for you. Unfortunately, you guys were supposed to be at home a couple of weeks ago, but the inclement weather was... what's that like? Because I chalked up, your guys' performance against Arizona. I said, I'm worried about these guys and Cedar Rapids being rusty because of just how much time had lapsed between the last game and then with all the juggling and then finally the indefinite suspension of that game. What kind of toll does that kind of break take on, a player and a team mentally and physically?
Oh, you prepared for a week against Cedar Rapids, and Mother Nature took its course, and you was hoping for the game on Monday night. You was hoping for the game on Tuesday night. And when it was impossible for the game to happen with all the moving pieces here in Green Bay, instantly you had to switch to Arizona. And it takes a toll. Being out 3 to 4 weeks, we was on a back-to-back bye week after Sioux Falls, and the guys went away, to go home, be with their family and friends, and to come back and receive the news of some changes going on within the organization. it's been a roller coaster for them guys as well. But majority, I mean, besides some of the roster changes that we had, everyone is still in place. They believe in the organization. They believe in what we're trying to do as far as a coaching staff, a front office, and we're ready to move forward. It was unfortunate that we went up against Arizona, in our first matchup, installing a new scheme on offense. But we saw where we measure, and we know where we need to go from there.
Yeah, so you finally had your head coaching debut. I mean, you got promoted, you took the reins, you had a bit extra time off than you had hoped and expected, and so then you make the trip to Arizona and you get your feet wet as the new head coach. Now, your official title, I believe, is technically interim, which is how the franchises and organization usually put it when there's a change made, at some point during the regular season. But, it's only been 1 week, but, I got to ask, is this a job that you'd like to have permanently? Like, would you like the title of, instead of interim, to be the Green Bay Blizzard head coach?
Absolutely. Every coach at some point want to be able to run their own ball team, and that's a goal. Didn't know that it would happen this soon, but at the end of the day, if you stay ready, you don't have to worry about being ready. So the opportunity came as far as it was my number called, and I'm ready to roll.
As far as taking over a team in the middle of a season, I don't know how much of a list of priorities that you had for if this situation ever came around, but in your mind as a new head coach, what was the first thing as far as making sure that the players believed in you and what you were going to bring to the table as a head coach?
The first thing, my conversation with every single player that was on the roster was just talk about who I am. A lot of the guys, they started seeing me come around a lot more starting in the Nebraska week, and it was more so on the defensive side. My first thing as the new interim head coach was to try to retain as much of the coaching staff that was in place as possible. We was able to retain 2, including myself, would be 3, and then bring on another guy. And some of the other coaches had some family obligations that they needed to tend to that was pulling at them as well. So we had to move forward as an organization. As far as the players, my next responsibility was to call the offensive guys first. I didn't have a lot of contact with them throughout the season, except for on special teams. And that was my number one thing as far as the players was to call to talk to them. And all of them to a T. I just informed them of where I'm at, the type of guy I am, what they can expect from me, as far as being truthful with them, and let's move forward. And all of them to a T let me know that they believe. They believe in me. They was aware of what I was doing to help out on the defensive side, and they was ready to move forward. Of course, we all, we failed Coach Williams as a coaching staff and as players that led to this point. So, we had that conversation as well, was, we had to own that we let our leader down.
Yeah, and I understand. I think that what you've been put in a pretty tough spot, but you're handling it very well. Coach Miller speaks very highly of you, as well as a majority of your players. So it's good to have them backing you and behind you. Now, it seems like a situation like this, to me, from a third-party perspective, would be really difficult to try to plan for the future because, one, you're dealt the hand that you have right now. You're in the middle of a season. You had like three weeks of bye week, and so now you're trying to move forward. But has the organization indicated to you at all their plans for you in the future? Like, how much do you, Coach Roberson, want to implement into this team with what you have if it's not going to matter, next season?
I have a job to do, and that job is now. We worry about the future when the season is over with. So my main responsibility right now is helping the organization move forward, get some wins this season, help filling the seats at our home games, and helping the players throughout the process as well, become young men and respecting the community, whether that's this community or the community that they may go to when they when they leave Green Bay. So as far as the future, we've had little conversations about that, but our main focus as far as the organization goes is to get through this season and worry about the future when that time comes.
That was an awesome answer. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I didn't know what to expect when I asked that, but that is probably like the picture perfect answer. And I feel like you're being 100% honest and genuine about it. So I tried to ask the tough one, and you got me on that. So props to you. You're obviously ready to be a head coach because you can coach speak like the best of them. Well, you've got a tough matchup coming up against Iowa. How's prep for that game going? Another road game. I know that you guys, it's tough travel, especially from Green Bay and the weather. But, your focus is now, and next is the Iowa Barnstormers. How's that preparation been going?
We got our first practice under our belt last night, shifting focus to Iowa. We watched the film of Arizona. We saw our mistakes. We saw some things that we could grow from. Iowa is a good ball team. They have a decent record. They were able to win without their number one quarterback going into the game against Nebraska. So that's a testament of Coach Wooten over there, Dixie, who's a good friend of mine as well. That's a testament of him and what he's able to do with that ball team to keep them moving forward.
Well, I'm looking forward to the matchup. I think you guys are both great franchises in this league and great run organizations. I have a huge amount of respect for both you and Iowa, so I look forward to seeing you as head coach Corey Roberson this season when I make it to Green Bay, whenever that is. There's been a few plan changes, but I will make it up there. I love it up there in Green Bay and can't wait to see you guys. But, hey, Coach, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk a little bit about your new title, and I wish you nothing but the best. I think that you're definitely the right man for the job.
All right, thanks a lot, Richard. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's no trouble, Coach, whatsoever. You take care of yourself.
All right, you too.
That was Coach Roberson of the Green Bay Blizzard, and tough spot to be in. I felt like I was grilling him at one point. I was like, I should back off a little bit because this isn't Dateline. This isn't to Catch a Predator. It's not meant to be taken serious. But I ask questions as a fan. I ask it, as a fan. I feel like there's certain things that I would like to know because I'm probably never going to be put in that scenario, in that spot. So I'm genuinely curious. Like how much of your future planning goes into something like this if you're not even sure of your future. And he answered that perfectly. He's like, I have a job to do now, so I'm worried about the right now. And asking him if this is a title he wants, I don't expect him to say no. I really don't. It's been 1 week, and this is what every coach eventually aspires to be. But I do think, that there may be jobs out there that some people either felt that they weren't prepared for, and they don't want it to be a negative reflection of their talent, skill, or their ability to do said job. But, I think if anything, the questions are just meant to generate conversation, get some perspective, feel the person out. And that was the first time that Corey Roberson has been on the show, and it was a great time. So hopefully he feels comfortable enough to come back because, it's normally very lighthearted, but I have so many questions because you don't get a lot of these situations, especially when it comes to the feelings surrounding it. There's hard feelings, there's indifferent feelings, there's, I'd rather not talk about it. But I feel like enough time has passed since the announcement. He's into his routine now that he could answer those comfortably, and I feel like he did. So thank you again, Coach Roberson, for that. So that is going to do it for this Wednesday edition of The F.A.N. Show. Don't forget, hopefully you only get one of them this time, that you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, listen live on thefanshow.com or Spreaker.com as well. And your home base for all things football and nonsense is thefanshow.com. Check out photos. There's some articles. They're older, but that's a means to change. There's going to be some new content really soon. I'm in school right now, so that's taking up a majority of my extra time. Not that I ever have any extra time. And then we're going to see about the next stop on the Fan Show tour. It'll probably still be Green Bay, but I think it's getting pushed back by a month. I was doing some finances and some budgeting, and I just don't think it's going to happen May 5th, as sad as that is, because I know that would be such a fun night, but I think it would be better just all around if I focused on the June date when they take on the Cedar Rapids Titans. So follow on Twitter at FanShowOfficial, Facebook.com, like like it there, which is /FanShowOfficial. That's what I meant to say. And then, of course, the Instagram and the Snapchat are both the Fan Show. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners. And remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.